My name is Noah, and I have a secret that lives between the seams of other people's clothes. It started small. When I was 14, I found my older sister's high-heeled shoes shoved under her bed, and, for a laugh, I slipped them on to see how it felt. The toilet paper-wrapped ankles, the wobbling, the ridiculous clack on the carpet. It was ridiculous and terrifying and, for a flash, electric. After that night, the memory lodged in me like a song you can't stop humming.
I didn't understand it then.
I only knew the sensation, a small elongation of posture, a quiet alteration of how the world met me. Fast forward 10 years, and I'm 30, a junior set designer at a tiny, beloved downtown theater. I spend my days drafting flats and tugging bolts of fabric into place, thinking in texture and silhouette. On a good day, I get to sketch a costume and whisper, "This is her." On a bad day, the sketches are ignored and the props budget is cut. My job, more than anything, taught me that clothes do things to people. They armor and they reveal. They can be performance and confession at the same time. At home, I live with Emma. She's warm and laugh till your sides hurt warm, the kind of person who spills light into rooms. We met at a gallery opening 2 summers ago, and our flirtation started over a ruined wine glass and a shared taxi. Emma is the reason I learned how to cook more than instant ramen. She's the person I tell the small, stupid things to. We've been together a year and a half. She works in visual merchandising and has an instinct for color that makes me jealous. Her closet is a curated museum, dresses in neat arcs, scarves folded like origami, shoes lined up like soldiers. Most people would call her daring. I call her my favorite person to be honest with, almost honest. That almost is the problem, because tucked into the almost is the seam where my secret lives. I crossdress, yes, but not as a fetish or a rebellion. It's quieter than that. It's curiosity that unfolded into refuge. Some nights I'll spend an hour in the costume shop, testing how a skirt swings, how heels change my center of gravity. Sometimes it's a study. How does a 1920s flapper dress alter the way someone inhabits space? Other times it's a private, tender thing, slipping into fabric and feeling the world tilt into a different angle where my lungs somehow expand. I've kept this part of me compartmentalized, careful. In daylight, I'm the set designer who forgets to eat, who can patch a prop with half a stitch and 3 good jokes. Emma knows me intimately, my preferred coffee, the way I curl my hair before bad days, but not this. I've told myself she would be supportive if she knew. I've also told myself the opposite. Both thoughts keep me awake on nights when the theater's stage lights are dimmed and my chest is full of unsaid sentences. The line between curiosity and confession blurred the Thursday she left a dress at my apartment. Emma had a trunk of pieces she was rotating for a photo shoot. She'd come over after work to drop off a silhouette she wanted me to help adjust, juggling pins and a coffee and that ridiculous bag of candies she'd promised she'd stop buying. In her rush, she left one of her dresses draped over the back of my living room chair, a soft, deep green midi with pleats that caught light like slow waves. It smelled faintly of the citrus-scented detergent she loved. When she left, she kissed me on the cheek, grabbed the next thing off the chair, and walked out with that busy, sunlit flutter she always carries. I stared at the dress for 10 minutes. I told myself I should hang it up, measure the hem, note where it needed altering. Practical things. Engineer the problem and move on. Instead, I carried the dress to my bedroom like an animal with a shiny thing. I shut the door, I locked it. My hands trembled as if I'd been running. The fabric slid through my fingers, cool and whisper-thin. I remember thinking, absurdly, that I had never looked at this color in the same way before. It was like watching a painting you thought you knew and suddenly noticing a hidden brushstroke. I knew the rules and I was breaking them, but I told myself this was just research. Occupational hazard. Costume study. So, carefully, I stepped into it, feeling the waistband nestle onto my hips. The skirt fanned perfectly, the pleats falling with a professionalism I appreciated. I sat on the edge of the bed and let the dress do the work. It smoothed something in my shoulders, softened the line of my jaw. I caught my reflection in the standing mirror and blinked. There was a version of me there who stood differently, who tilted his head in a way that felt new. I found myself practicing the small rituals, smoothing the hem, crossing my ankles, releasing a breath that tasted like relief. It was not a transformation that involved an epiphany. It was a slow admitting. I smiled, small, embarrassed, and surprised at how that smile looked in this other light. The dress wasn't a costume anymore. It was a lens. At that precise moment, my phone buzzed with a picture message.
Emma.
A goofy selfie from a shop across town, her wearing a floppy hat, grin wide, caption, "Found the cutest hat. Save me from impulse purchases." Underneath it, a reply I hadn't typed yet jumped into my head. "Come home. I left that dress at yours." The message was a punctuation mark. I shoved the phone under the pillow, the dress a secret avalanche over my legs. And then, like a slow door creak, the apartment key turned. She came in humming, shoes off at the door, the hallway light backlighting her. Maybe she'd forgotten something. Maybe she'd decided to surprise me with dinner. She paused at the bedroom door and, for a heartbeat, our gazes slid past each other. Me in the mirror, her carrying my unease in her smile. "Hey," she said, softer than a whisper, like a question. I didn't know how to be anything other than a heap of apologies. But she didn't laugh. She didn't recoil. She stood there, hand on the door, looking at me from a place that was curious and kind. Then, startlingly, her lips curved. Not a smirk. Not mockery. A smile that reached her eyes and softened them. She didn't see me with disdain. She saw me with exact, careful notice. "You look different," she said, but the word landed like an offering, not a verdict. My cheeks warmed, my mouth opened. I wanted to explain how it started, to show her my truest inventory of secret nights and stolen rehearsals. I wanted to tell her that the dress made me feel like my body had room to hold more than oneself. I wanted to tell her I loved her, and that this was not about not loving her. Instead, I stayed there, dress whispering, heart thrumming. Emma crossed the room and, without hesitation, reached out. Her fingers brushed the hem as if to check the fabric, not the person. Then she grinned, that same grin that had hooked me in a gallery 2 summers ago, and said, simply, "I like it. You should keep it on for dinner." I laughed, a small sound split by nerves. "You mean like now?" I asked. "Yeah," she said, eyes bright in a way that made my pulse shift sideways. "Besides, I think my crush can't stop smiling." Her voice held a dozen meanings at once. My crush. She called me her crush, and in that instant, the room folded in a new way. I wasn't sure whether to be terrified or relieved. The smile on her face was no longer just an observation. It was an invitation and a hinge. I wanted to ask, "Is this okay? Is any of this okay?" But the night hummed with things unsaid, with dress fibers catching the light of a living room lamp like tiny flags. For the first time in a long time, the two worlds inside me, the man who builds sets and the one who experiments with dresses in closed rooms, edged closer to touching. Emma's smile widened, as if she'd read the same possibilities on my face. "Dinner's on me," she said. "If you want, we can figure this out together." The dress rustled. My heartbeat calmed enough to match hers. That was the hook. The moment that would unspool into something I couldn't predict. The little secret in the closet had walked out into the living room, and Emma had not slammed the door. She'd smiled. She'd stayed. And somewhere under that soft green fabric, something in me leaned toward sunlight. The next few days felt like I was living in 2 worlds, except now they were brushing against each other instead of staying neatly apart. Emma didn't say much about what she'd seen that night. She smiled, teased me lightly at dinner, and carried on with the evening as if it was the most natural thing in the world. But her glances lingered longer than usual, and I caught her smirking when she thought I wasn't looking. That smirk made my stomach flip every time. Inside, though, I was in chaos. For years, crossdressing had been something tucked away in secret boxes, something I only allowed myself to enjoy when no one else was watching. It was like standing on a cliff edge, thrilling, terrifying, and only safe when you were alone. But now Emma had seen me. She hadn't laughed. She hadn't judged. She'd smiled. And that changed everything. I couldn't stop replaying the moment in the mirror. The way the dress had made me stand differently. The way Emma's smile had softened. Part of me wanted to pretend it hadn't happened, to shove the dress back into her closet and never let the subject surface again. That would be safer.
Cleaner.
Easier. But another part of me, the louder, braver part, wanted more. Wanted to feel that dress again, wanted to see her smile again, wanted to stop hiding from myself. The problem was, I didn't know if Emma's smile meant curiosity, or acceptance, or just politeness. What if she was only humoring me? What if tomorrow she woke up and decided it was all too much? That fear gnawed at me. Emma, of course, didn't let things slide. She was clever like that. One evening, while we were cooking pasta together, she casually asked, "So, do you ever, practice with makeup? Or was that dress thing kind of a one-time experiment?" I nearly dropped the spoon. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying too hard to sound casual. She grinned. "I mean, you looked pretty comfortable the other night. I figured maybe you've done this before?" Her tone wasn't sharp. It wasn't accusing. It was teasing, but also probing. Testing the waters. I hesitated. This was the edge of the cliff again. Maybe. A little. Not much. I admitted, voice small. Emma's grin widened, and she leaned closer. I knew it. My cheeks burned. She didn't push further, but that single exchange was enough to leave me restless the whole night. 2 nights later, Emma came into the living room holding a small bag from Sephora. She plopped it onto the couch beside me with a mischievous look. "What's this?" I asked. "An experiment," she said, sitting cross-legged. She pulled out a tube of lipstick, a compact, and a small brush. "I figured if you're going to try on my dress again, you might as well look the part. Don't worry, I'll keep it simple." My heart pounded so loud I was sure she could hear it. "Emma, are you serious?" "Dead serious," she said, grinning. "Relax. You'll love it." I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell her this was too much, too fast. But instead I found myself frozen as she leaned in, fingers tilting my chin up, her touch gentle and deliberate. The first swipe of lipstick sent a shiver down my spine. It was silly, I told myself, just color on lips, nothing more. But the way Emma looked at me, her eyes lighting up like I was something fascinating, made the air electric. "There," she said softly after a few strokes. "Not bad. Try smiling." I did. And when she laughed, delighted, I felt something stir in me that was equal parts terror and joy. She dabbed blush onto my cheeks, combed a little mascara through my lashes, and then stepped back. "Now," she said, "go put on that green dress again." I should have protested. I should have drawn a line. But instead I obeyed, walking to the bedroom with trembling hands. When I came back out, dress flowing and makeup warming my face, Emma's reaction nearly knocked the breath out of me. She didn't laugh. She didn't mock. She just stared. Then she smiled again, the same soft smile as before, only deeper. "You're beautiful," she whispered. My throat tightened. I didn't know whether to cry or collapse into her arms. From that night onward, things began to blur. Sometimes, after dinner, Emma would nudge me toward her closet with a playful grin. "Pick something you like." Other times, she'd bring out a new lipstick shade and insist I try it just for fun. At first, it was lighthearted. A game. But slowly, it began to feel heavier. Realer. I caught myself checking the mirror more often, adjusting the hem of a skirt with a care that felt practiced. I began to crave the moments when Emma looked at me in that special way. But every thrill came with a shadow. What if someone found out? What if Emma changed her mind? What if I was only setting myself up for heartbreak? The suspense grew stronger when Emma mentioned her best friend Mia might come over one evening. "You'll love her," she said casually, then added with a smirk, "Maybe she'll love you too." I froze. "What do you mean?" Emma only winked. "Nothing. Just don't hide too much." Her words lingered, sharp and dangerous. Because if Mia showed up while I was wearing Emma's clothes, what then? The next day, the apartment was spotless. Emma had been buzzing with energy since morning, cleaning surfaces that didn't need cleaning, fluffing pillows, lighting a candle in the living room. But for me, It felt like preparing a stage for my execution. Mia was coming over. Mia, the girl I had admired from afar since high school, Emma's best friend, and the one person I never wanted to see me at my most vulnerable. The knock at the door was like a thunderclap in my chest. Emma opened it with her usual bright smile. "Mia," she squealed, pulling her inside. And there she was, Mia, in her sundress, hair bouncing over her shoulders, carrying an effortless charm that made me want to disappear into the couch. "Ryan," she said, spotting me immediately. "Wow, it's been forever." I forced a smile, trying to look normal, trying to pretend I hadn't just been pacing around the apartment 15 minutes earlier in Emma's skirt before changing back into my jeans. The three of us sat down, chatting about old memories. But I could feel Emma watching me more than usual. Her gaze lingered on every nervous shift I made, every glance I stole at Mia. At one point, Emma leaned toward Mia with a sly grin. "You know, Ryan has a secret." My blood froze. Mia raised her eyebrows. "Oh, what kind of secret?" I swallowed hard, praying Emma was joking. But Emma only smiled wider. "Should I tell her?" "Emma," I whispered sharply, panic in my voice. She laughed, waving it off. "Relax. I'm kidding. Or maybe I'm not." Mia chuckled, but her eyes flicked back to me, curious now. Later that evening, Mia went to the kitchen to grab a drink. The moment she left, Emma leaned in close. "Put it on," she whispered. "What?" "The dress. The one from last night. I dare you." My eyes widened. "Emma, are you crazy? She's here." "That's the point." Her grin was wicked, but her tone was firm. "Do it." I shook my head, heart pounding. But the way she looked at me, half challenge, half promise, made my resistance crumble. Within minutes, I was in her bedroom again, trembling as I pulled the sundress over my body. My reflection in the mirror made my stomach twist, terrified, yet alive with adrenaline. When I stepped back into the living room, Emma's smile was radiant. But then Mia walked in. Her eyes landed on me instantly. She froze, the drink in her hand hovering in midair. The silence was suffocating. My face burned as I tried to form words that wouldn't come. Mia blinked, then laughed nervously. "Wait, is this a joke?" Emma leaned back, smirking. "What do you think?" Mia's eyes stayed locked on me. And then, to my horror, her lips curled into a slow smile. "Well," she said softly, "I wasn't expecting that." My knees felt weak. My mind raced, torn between ripping off the dress and running, or pretending I didn't care. But Emma saved me, or maybe doomed me, with one sentence. "Doesn't he look good?" The rest of the evening was a blur of laughter, questions, and tension so thick it felt like walking a tightrope. Mia wasn't cruel, but she wasn't oblivious either. She teased gently, complimented the dress, even asked, "So, is this a thing for you?" I muttered something vague, my voice trembling. But the worst moment came later, when Mia excused herself to the bathroom. Emma turned to me, eyes gleaming.
"See?"
She didn't freak out. "She likes it. Maybe more than I do." "What are you doing to me, Emma?" I whispered, nearly breaking. "Setting you free," she said simply. When Mia returned, Emma insisted on taking a group photo. She pulled me close, still in the sundress, and snapped it. But when I saw the picture on her phone, me standing between them, soft features highlighted by the dress, I felt something shatter inside. It wasn't just a costume anymore. It was me. A version of me I couldn't keep denying. And Emma knew it. As the night wound down, Mia leaned closer, her smile softer now. "You know, Ryan, you actually pull it off. Better than most girls I know." Her words hit me harder than any tease. They weren't mocking. They were genuine. Emma's eyes flicked to mine, and for the first time, I saw something dangerous in her smile, like she had started something she couldn't stop. And then, there was another knock at the door. Emma froze. Mia frowned. My blood turned to ice. Because standing outside, visible through the window, was our neighbor. The one who always waved. The one who had just seen me. In the sundress. The room was silent except for the rapid pounding of my own heartbeat. I stood there, breathless, still wearing the outfit Mom had made me put on, the one that had somehow shifted my life upside down. My reflection in the mirror didn't look like me anymore. It looked like a stranger. No, worse, it looked like someone I was beginning to recognize too much. Do you see now? Mom's voice cut through the silence. Her tone wasn't harsh, not commanding. It was soft, almost regretful, which made it even scarier. What do you mean? I whispered, though my throat felt tight. She stepped closer, her eyes shining with something I couldn't read. This wasn't just about makeup or skirts or heels. This was about you. You were never supposed to be the son I raised. You were always supposed to be the daughter I lost. The words hit me like glass shattering across my chest. My knees weakened. I don't understand. She reached out, touching my hair gently, her lips curling into the faintest smile. You don't have to understand yet. The truth will come soon. Before I could respond, the bedroom door slammed open. My sister stood there, eyes wide, face pale, like she'd just uncovered a secret she wasn't supposed to see. She stared at me, really stared at me, like she didn't recognize the brother she once had. Mom, her voice cracked. What did you do to him? Mom didn't answer. Instead, she simply turned to me, her fingers still holding my chin, forcing me to meet her gaze. Tomorrow, she whispered, the world will know who you really are. And just like that, my whole body froze, caught between panic and an unexplainable rush of dread. Because for the first time, I wasn't sure if she was right.